Do you ever walk into your restaurant and think to yourself, who's the idiot, fill in the blank, because what they did or didn't do, you thought was so simple that they have something called common sense? If this is you, stay with me and I'm going to share with you why common sense is a myth in the restaurant business. I'm Dave Scott Peters, restaurant expert, coach, and creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. I've been coaching restaurant owners since 2003, and I'm really glad you're here to learn. Today, I want to share with you why common sense is a myth in the restaurant business. But before I do that, if you like tips and tricks like this, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and oh yeah, that bell, so you're notified when my next video tip comes out. And for more tips and tricks for running a profitable restaurant or to hear restaurant owner success stories, make sure you tune into my podcast, Restaurant Prosperity Formula, found on all the popular podcasting services. Let me start off by saying most restaurant owners suffer from a disease I call common-sense-itis. Common-sense-itis, and it's an ugly disease. What is it? It's the never-ending headache that you have from repeatedly banging your head against a brick wall, blood running down your face every time you enter your restaurant. Let me give you an example. Way back when I first started coaching and I was doing some consulting, John and Judy were owners of a restaurant called Nero's in Nashville, Tennessee. They've since sold the business. It was many, many years ago. It was right when I was cutting my teeth on the consulting side of what I did. And I will tell you that we learned something big. I had my team of coaches. We were on the ground, and one of my coaches, David Miltello, was taking Judy around the restaurant, and every time she'd say this is what they were supposed to do, they didn't do this, and she started getting pissed off. Every corner, they should have done this, they should have done this, they should have done this, and she was getting pissed. Till finally they go outside, and the outside patio looked shut down, but it was beautiful, it was bright and sunny out. They went to the manager checklist and saw the manager checked off the patio, and she was ready to go off. We did some further digging and discovered that the manager said, when I came in this morning and I did the walkthrough, it was cloudy and looked like it was going to rain. See, we've got to be so specific and clear in our expectations. There is no such thing as common sense. You literally on the manager checklist needed to say, go to weatherchannel.com and find out what the weather is. So that it may have been partially cloudy, but if you saw that it was partially cloudy, you're going to set it up. See, let's put it this way. Have you ever walked into your restaurant and at dusk it's too bright? Well, there's a problem. There's this thing called the sun and the earth rotates around the sun, which means sunset changes every single day what time it is. So you can't say, hey, the rheostat, here's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, where I want my lights. It needs to be, go to weatherchannel.com, find out what time sunset is. This is 2 hours before sunset. This is 1 hour. This is at sunset. And oh, by the way, if it's cloudy, this is the rules to follow. I need to be specific and clear because there is no such thing as common sense. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But before you go crazy on me, go, David, so I got to tell my managers exactly what to do? Yeah. How well to do it? Yeah. By when? Yeah. You mean you're telling me I got to tell them how to wipe their ass? Yes. Not because they're stupid. It's because you want them to do it your way. That's the critical part, not to read your mind. See, the cure to common-sense-itis, I'm going to tell you about in just a moment, really is a two-step thing that's so simple. But first, let me define common sense. I can remember years ago, I went to wikipedia.com because we couldn't use dictionaries. And I'm talking 15, 16 years ago, before I did one of my very first workshops, and I looked up what common sense meant. And at the time, it was defined by the world as what's in common in a group. It'd be common experience within a group. Now I want you to think about your restaurant team. It's diverse: age, education, race, culture, sexual preference, where they grew up, and the list goes on. Everyone has a very different experience growing up and going through their life. You can't expect them to have your experiences. Like, if I were to say to you, that's common sense for all the things that I teach you because those were my experiences, I would never have a member to coach because I'd come across like a complete raving ass. Like, are you stupid? That's common sense. Of course you take inventory. Of course you take recipe cost cards. Of course in recipe cards we do yield tests and so on. Of course, that's my experience. But when you look around a room and you take the whole population of that room, as diverse as the group, it's what's in common becomes very small because it has to be common experiences. See, common sense ain't so common because our experiences aren't. So the cure, when you go into saying, how do I get rid of common-sense-itis, is the cure is very simple. One, you need to define and train your standards, your system, your process, your way. And two, you need to hold everyone accountable to those standards. That's the magic piece. So if you don't want to have that feeling of beating your head against a brick wall and have blood streaming down it because everyone's an idiot, then you need to train and define your standards and ultimately hold people accountable. That's the magic to getting rid of something called common-sense-itis, because common sense ain't so common. If you're tired of not being able to leave your restaurant because no one else knows how to run it, I want to make sure you know it doesn't have to be that way. You can leave your restaurant. It is possible to build a team of people who know how you want the restaurant to run with trained and responsible people in place. You can give yourself time away. What would you do if you had time away from your restaurant? Would you sleep better? Would your relationships improve? Would you feel more relaxed? These are all things you deserve to experience as a business owner. It's why we own our own businesses. If you would like to learn how to own a restaurant that doesn't depend on you to be successful, click the link in the description to watch a free video to learn exactly what you have to do. Also, be sure to subscribe to get my weekly tips and watch these 2 videos to get more information and guidance for running a successful restaurant.